Many thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Peak fall color only lasts a handful of days. Blink and you've missed it. And if you're like me, you've probably missed it more often than you've actually nailed it. You plan the trip, you hike out to your location, and the trees are either still too green or already dull and lifeless. It can be frustrating because timing it perfectly is almost impossible unless you happen to live in the mountains and you can check every single day. But here is the good news. Even if you show up early or if you show up late, there's a way to make it look like you hit peak fall color. And the best part, it only takes a couple simple sliders. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how I use this combination to transform this dull and clearly not peak color photo into this much more exciting and full of life fall image. That way your photos explode with color, even when nature doesn't cooperate. So this is an image, I think that this is an absolutely perfect example of this, because this right here, as you can tell, this is clearly not peak fall color. There is still a whole lot of green all through here, but you can still see that there are plenty of pockets of yellow to work with, nice yellow and oranges. But as you look at this photograph, you can clearly see this is not peak fall color. This is the only time I've ever been to this location, and it's a location I've wanted to go to for years. And when I got here, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping for a little bit more fall color, but there is plenty enough to work with. So I do want to preface this by saying there is a big caveat with this. This technique, you don't want to take, say, a photo from spring, which with its tons of green, and try and make it look like a fall photo. That doesn't look good. It doesn't look realistic at all. It just looks bad. But if you take a fall photo exactly like this, that has plenty of fall color in it, then you can go ahead and make this technique work. But you really have to have some fall color in the image to make it look realistic, to make it really look good. And I think that this is a perfect example of it. So once again, this is that raw file right here. And I made a virtual copy, and let me come here to the develop panel. And I'll show you all the adjustments I made to the basic section here. There was absolutely nothing done from a coloring perspective, but I have a tone curve on here. Here are all the masks that I use. I'll toggle this on and off just so you can see it. Just kind of highlighting the mill here a little bit. And I put a small vignette on the overall photograph, but as you can see, I toggle that on and off. You can see what that has done right there. But in the essence of time, didn't want to go through the entire edit. I really just want to focus on how do you make fall colors look more explosive, more vibrant, more fall. And as you can see right here, this is what we've done. This is the raw file right here, and this is where we're at right now. This is raw and where we are at right now. So one of my favorite sections from a coloring perspective is the calibration section right here. So as you can see, it might look a little bit confusing here. It is probably, in my opinion, the most confusing aspect of all of Lightroom, but it's also the most powerful way to enhance color. I don't want to go into a real deep dive on the calibration section, but I will put a link in the description below or above here. I made a completely free course all about the power of the calibration tool. That's how much I actually believe in this. I would encourage you, if you're not comfortable or even know anything about the calibration section, definitely check that out. Like I said, it's completely free, but I think it's about a 30 or 40-minute course that dives into everything that's happening under the hood about this section, but super, super powerful. So one of the coolest things about here is this right here, blue primary. This is probably the most impactful portion of the calibration tool. And what I normally like to do, this is kind of the combination to enhance fall color that I always go through. I start with the calibration section, and then I go ahead and I make the refinement in the color mixer section. So we'll start here at the calibration. I always start here at the bottom and work my way up. Let's boost this saturation up a lot as I rock this back and forth. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, the blue looks more vibrant, of course, but all the other colors are being impacted as well. Even though we're in the blue primary, it's one of the things that's a little bit confusing about the calibration section. But like I said, free course below will explain it all. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to boost this to maybe somewhere right around here. I think it looks pretty good. And then the blue primary, this is a very important part of this technique. As I rock this back and forth, obviously we don't want to go to the right, but if you move it to the left, this is where you really start to see the magic start to happen. Now, of course, you don't want to go too far overboard, but maybe somewhere right around here, I think looks pretty good. Let's move up to the green primary section. Same thing will happen here. You think the green primary is only going to impact green. It doesn't, it impacts everything. So let me take this, go back and forth. Look at this. Every single color in the image is being impacted, even though we're only messing with the green primary slider. So let me take this up to maybe around here, looks good. And then the green primary hue, as I swing this back and forth, you can see what that is doing right there. Maybe we'll shift these greens a little bit more towards the yellow side. So maybe something about right here looks good. And in saturation, as I swing this back and forth, you can see what that's doing right there. Let's take the saturation up to maybe around 15, 16, 17-ish. And then the red primary hue, as I swing this back and forth, maybe just to the left, just ever so slightly. Kind of shift some of those orange tones more towards red. As I slide this over more, you can really see that happening. So maybe something, I think right around here looks pretty good. And let's toggle this section on and off, before and after, before and after. And I know maybe some of these colors look a little bit overdone, especially the sky. There's a very specific reason why this technique starts with the calibration section first, and then you wrap it up in the color mixer section to kind of refine it or dial back certain areas. So I think that looks pretty good. Now let's come down to the color mixer section. And if you notice, my Lightroom, the way that this is organized here, might look a little bit different than what yours looks like. And it's for a very specific reason. This is my overall workflow. I start at the top and I work all the way down, and I designed it this way. And you can too. If you just right click on any of these, right click, customize develop panel, you can move these wherever you want. You can even completely remove some of them and save it however you want. That's a good way to create a very repeatable workflow. This is just the way that I do it. So if mine looks a little bit different than yours, that's exactly why. So I'm gonna come down here to the color mixer section, and I always like to start with luminance. And if you're not familiar with what luminance is, it's the brightness value of a color, or brightness value of something, really. So if I come up here and I take the red luminance and swing this back and forth, well, that wasn't a good example. There's not much red in there. But let's come over here to yellow. Watch as I swing this back and forth. Anything that is yellow is becoming brighter, which is super, super powerful. It's a great way to create color separation, especially in trees where there's a lot going on. So that's one of my favorite tools here. So let's start right here. Do I want to do anything with the yellow? Maybe we'll boost the yellow up just a little bit to create that separation in the trees. I know I definitely want to take the blue luminance and boost it up a little bit, because the blues are getting super, super dark and I don't want that. I'm also going to desaturate them in a moment here, but I wanted to kind of make those blues not so dark. And do we want to do anything with the orange? As I swing this back and forth, yeah, I think let's boost up the luminance of the orange channel just ever so slightly as well. And I think that looks pretty good. I don't really want to do anything with the green. There's not a lot happening right there. Maybe just a little bit, I guess, to a point right there. Then we'll toggle that on and off. There you go. And now let's come over here to saturation. Like I mentioned before, I definitely want to desaturate the blue of the sky, because it is, in my opinion, it is a little too distracting. The blue in the sky is definitely not something that I want to draw a ton of attention to. The sky's not super interesting, and I just want to kind of dial things back a little bit up there. So I'm going to come up here to the saturation. I don't want to take it completely away, nothing like that, but I definitely do want to reduce it a fair amount to maybe something about right here. I think looks pretty good. Nice and subtle. Now, let's see, is there anything else we want to do in the saturation section here? I think I'm going to take the oranges and let's boost them up just a touch. As you can see, swing this back and forth. And I often do this. If you watch any of my videos, you see that I'm always swinging sliders all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And I do that because it makes it very easy for me to see what the total impact is of a particular tool. So when I swing the orange slider back and forth, I can see very easily the areas that are going to be impacted by this. So I am going to take this and let's bring this up to nothing crazy, maybe just like 10, 12, somewhere right around there. Do we want to do anything with the with the yellows? Swing this back and forth, I think so. Let's bring that up a fair amount to maybe right here. I think looks pretty good. We already desaturated the blues. I don't think there's anything else I want to do there. And then hue. Now hue is very, very powerful for this technique, as we had mentioned earlier in the calibration section. But this right here, this is only going to impact a very specific color. So whatever color channel I'm actually working on, it's only going to impact that area. So if I come up here to oranges, I can shift the oranges more towards red, or I can shift the oranges more towards green, as you can see right there, or yellow, I should say. So if I swing this back and forth, you can see that the orange, anything that is orange, if I go this way, those oranges are going to be more yellow. Or if I go the other way, the oranges are going to be more red. So for this, I think I want to just take these oranges and move them a little bit more towards red to maybe something about right there. Looks pretty good. We go over here to yellow, we swing this back and forth. I can either take the yellows and make them more towards orange like that, or I can say, yellow, I want you to be more towards green. Obviously, I don't want to go more towards green because that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid is those pockets of green. I'm just trying to shift the little bit of green tones ever so slightly to a more autumnal color, if you will. So I'm gonna take the yellows and let's bring these over more towards orange. Fair amount, maybe something like that. I think looks pretty good. And then the greens, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to make the greens more green. I want to actually shift these greens more towards yellow. So I'm going to take these and let's shift these quite a bit, maybe somewhere right around there, I think is looking pretty good. Let me swing that back and forth again. You can really see, especially like up through here and right through here and through there. See that? Big, big difference. So I'm going to take these down quite a bit to a point, I think right around here. Looks pretty good. And let's toggle this entire color mixer section off. So this is going to include the luminance, it's going to include the hue update. It's going to include the saturation update as well. So this is before and after, before and after. And let's toggle the entire edit on and off. So this is raw and where we're at right now, raw and where we're at right now. And if you look up here, let's see, toggle this on and off, you can see that, see how, yeah, there is a lot of green here, but that green has already started to shift more towards yellow. And that's a very important aspect of this. So this is completely raw and where we're at right now. And I think you would agree that these greens right here now have a little bit more of that fall look to it. And like I said before, as long as there's a little bit of fall color, you're good to go. But this is not gonna work if you try and take a photo you captured in the spring and make it look like fall. That looks like a mess. But this right here is a good technique for us. And once again, let's find another pocket here. We go back to the raw file. Right through here is a lot of green. So let's zoom in there. This is raw and where we're at right now. Raw and where we're at right now. So a subtle but more impactful change. And I think that you would agree that this photo here definitely looks like I got much closer to peak fall color than this right here, which is really very, very early fall. So this is raw and where we're at right now, raw and where we're at right now. So a huge, huge difference. And like I said, getting peak fall color is not an easy thing to do. I have been a full-time photographer now. This is my professional full-time career for the past 10 years now. And I can count on one hand probably how many times I felt that I actually nailed peak fall color. It's kind of hard to do sometimes, but this is a great technique. If you're a little bit early, this is really gonna help you. Or late, I should say. This is really gonna help those colors kind of shift in a direction that resembles more peak fall color. So I do hope that information was helpful. And before I do wrap things up here, I just want to say a huge thanks to the sponsor of this week's video, which is Squarespace, who I use for all of my website and e-commerce needs. Squarespace offers a stunning user-friendly platform to build your website. With their Blueprint AI design system, you can showcase your photography and create a standout online presence with ease. Plus, built-in Squarespace SEO tools help your site appear in more searches, making it easier for the right customers to find you. And if you're looking to sell online, Squarespace's online store feature provides everything you need to sell your physical goods, digital content, or services seamlessly. So if you're looking to start a new website or possibly upgrade your current website, check out squarespace.com/Mark Denney for a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. So I do hope that information was helpful. If you have any questions about editing fall photos, fall color photos, definitely leave those questions in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back in touch with you as soon as humanly possible. And if you did enjoy this week's video, if you could, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you carving out a little bit of time to spend it with me here today. And I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye.